Okay. So beautiful. So my name is Dr. Lenore Murciano Luna, for those that don't know me. And I wear a few different hats, but to me it's all one hat, which is my passion is to really bring through um, what I call the feminine path, what I call these different um, tools and that help us connect with ourselves, that help women heal and empower themselves, whether we're healing physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. The core in my book is spiritual, right? There's this piece that has to happen spiritually where we can connect, and then everything else falls in place. So to me, I wear the hat as a holistic physician, Chinese medicine, acupuncture physician, which I have my private practice for 28 years. I'm also an author, so I write a lot about, this feminine path and feminine spirituality for women. I'm also a spiritual teacher and healer, and I use sound, and I also use art, and so bringing through some of these ancient feminine medicines that have been hidden and that have been lost to us in our culture. And so those are the ways in which I bring it through. And I'm the founder of Conscious Feminine Medicine, which is also a non-for-profit that focuses on doing these workshops for women and healing and empowering. And then also founder of the Feminine Path, which is the school for certification for women healers. And that's going to be launching in May, the new version of that, the after COVID version of that. So that's just a little bit of me. I'm also a mom of 3 girls. They're all older now, so 22, 24, and 27. And I was a single mom for a long time. And we have a lot of animals. We have a lot of cats and dogs, and so that's just a little bit about me. I wish there was time to go over everyone. Usually in our classes we go over everyone and their names, and we'll do that at another time. But let's just take a few minutes right now to connect and to really just kind of become present with our own body. I'm going to do an invocation. Okay, you need to move. And I'm going to do it with the drum, something that you can also do and learn to do. And during this invocation, I'm going to use sounds, use organic sound, which is just basically allowing ourselves to really drop into the moment and sound. It's really that simple, with the intention of connecting to our soul, connecting to our essence, and connecting to that which is greater. And so let's do that. I'll do a little bit of also drumming to open up the energy and like really just set that sacred space. And then we set our intention. So then we'll go into that for just a couple of minutes. Just take a deep breath and just feel how this feels as you're receiving it in your body. just take a deep breath and just let yourself become present in this space that we're all here gathered together tonight. Just feeling the sacredness within you, the sacredness all around you, inviting that in through your breath. And then dropping into your heart, your heart chakra at the center of your chest, maybe even bringing your hand there. And just setting your intention for this evening. And it's okay that you don't know. It's like you don't have to know anything. You just set your intention for what you'd like to receive in your heart. The wisdom of your heart knows more than our mind knows. So just in this moment, just setting the intention of your heart, becoming aware of what's in your heart, and setting that intention for yourself. And then just breathing into that a few times. And we're not going to worry about how that manifests or about doing anything. We're just going to work in this way, which is part of the feminine way of working with your energy and with the universe's energy, and just setting the intention and letting it go into that cosmic space of consciousness. I call the Great Mother, you might call the Divine, or God, Goddess, Source, and just letting it go into that consciousness, into that matrix. It's all around us. Yeah. Beautiful. And so I want to share something with everyone as we begin. And you can stay inside, or you can stay, you can open your eyes and you can look at me, whatever you'd like. I'm going to be speaking, and I'm going to also be in between. We're going to take a break at some point, and then we're going to do an experiential practice with song, with voice, with drum, and then we're going to bring up a few other things, and then do a greater practice at the end. Well, not really the end, because then we're going to open it up for question and answers. So I invite you, as I'm speaking, to just really tune in to how you are feeling. What bubbles up for you as I'm speaking. And let this be your personal journey. And just being mindful, just being very present to what's moving within you. And we're going to act as if, we were kind of all brought together here for whatever your intention is for yourself, and that whatever is moving within you is part of that process of actually receiving what you're asking for. So right from the get-go, I invite you to just really, this is your mini workshop within this bigger workshop. right? Because everybody, the intelligence that's within you is already, kind of setting up things for you. And all we have to do is listen, right? All we have to do is deeply listen and be with. Try not to reject anything within you. Try not to turn away, and just really being present with. Okay. All right, so okay, so this is what I want to share to begin. I'm going to share some stats of women around the world. So globally, last year, 81,000 women and girls were killed. And around 45,000 of them, which is 56%, died at the hands of an intimate partner or family member. Another stat. Let's just take a deep breath in between these, right? Every single day, 137 women and girls across the world are killed by a family member or an intimate partner. And this is from the femicide census. The most dangerous place for a woman in the home is estimated, is the home, sorry. It is estimated that around the world, a woman or girl dies every 11 minutes in their own home. 6 women are killed every hour by men around the world, most by men in their own family or their partners. 45% of all abortions are unsafe and could lead to complications, including death for women. In some cases, abortion is essential care, yet bans or lack of access lead to over 800 maternal deaths daily, which are preventable. And so I'm really feeling the group heart. So I'm gonna actually stop there, and I just want you to take some deep breaths, see if this is triggering, because it's very intense. And yet this is the world that we live in. This is the world that we are trying to free ourselves from. This is not just out there somewhere else. These stats are also in the United States, right? This is what we're coming out of, to the degree that we are able to come out of it. And it's important, even though it can be triggering and it can be very intense, to really feel into this. And it can also trigger our powerlessness, to understand that there's something within you that wants to liberate yourself from this, and that you're actually listening to that, and that you're here, and I'm sure in all the other ways in which you are following and breaking out of that consciousness. So in many ways, we could say that we're moving from survival, from the survival collective, to sovereignty, right? To come into our own sovereignty, where we feel safe. And this is part of that whole, conscious feminine revolution that we're hearing. This is part of ourselves as women liberating ourselves, but also liberating really the whole world and the whole consciousness, this consciousness within our patriarchal culture that allows this to happen, and that it's, it's almost like we're in this field where, even if we personally can't relate to that, or can't relate to, I'm going to talk a little bit about how it looks like personally for each one of us, but it's like we're in that whole field still, mentally. This is the field that we're swimming in, the culture that we're swimming in. This is the patriarchal culture. And this is the culture that's been going on for about 5,000 years, right? So it's not just us. Clearly, it's our ancestors and our mothers and our mother's mother and the mother before that. And it's all like they were experiencing those horrors and much more, which I will not get into because the point is not to trigger people here. It's just to kind of bring the awareness in. And also to understand that it's not just us, right? And also they had been living in that survival mode for thousands of years, and that is passed on through the DNA. That's passed on through the DNA all the way to us here. And it is basically, in many ways, we carry those patterns within us. And that's what we call the internalized patriarchy, right? And it's patterns within us that are based in fear, survival. What do we have to do to survive? Fear, shame, and the beliefs really of unworthiness, right? Because that's what that patriarchal culture has deemed us unworthy to some certain degree. Someone just came in. If they can mute, so I got you. I muted. Okay, thank you. So how that looks, so that's on a collective level. So we're all up against that collectively. Those patterns are within us, whether we're conscious of them or not. And that's why some of these things, sometimes feels really intense, like really heavy. And personally, it may look like these patterns within us of like the people pleaser, codependency, where we think if we take care of ourselves, it's selfish, where we sacrifice ourselves, we don't even take care of our needs or even know that we have needs, or we think that it's fine, we don't need to take care of ourselves, it's okay, we just keep doing and putting out all of our energy into the outer world. It also looks like rescuing others all the time because we so desperately want to be rescued. So we actually project it outward. I mean, it has many different ways of what that looks like for each one of us personally. And we may not even be aware of how uncomfortable we are in situations, and that might be our norm. We might just be really accustomed to taking things on and thinking that that's just the way that it is. And our voice and speaking our truth is a very big part of that. And most of the time, the pattern feels like we are not feeling safe enough to speak our truth, to speak our opinion, if our opinion is not, if it's different than what everybody else is saying. And so, we hold back, and then, our bodies start to feel that dysregulation within us, right? And it's not that we, I was reading an article on this today, and it's not that we want to blame ourselves for our issues in our body. It's not about blaming. It's about realizing that what's happening in our physical body or emotional body, sometimes whether, it's affecting us, is like depression or even panic, anxiety, because of that lack of safety. It's not that we are blaming ourselves, but it's to understand that it's all connected, and that our body, if there's issues going on physically, in our thyroid or immune issues or a whole host of other, dysregularities in our body, there are beliefs that are connected with that we have the power to change. but we have to become aware. So it's not about saying, oh, I've caused this and now, because I know that that's a big argument. That's like the shadow side of seeing that correlation. And I think it's, sometimes it's proposed as, oh, you are to blame. And then the other side is like, no, we're not to blame for our physical illness. And it's not about blaming. We're beyond blaming. It's not about right or wrong. It's about understanding, what that correlation is and what our body is trying to tell us, in these places that are dysregulated. And if we actually go in and listen deeply, we can start to, or continue to, because I have a feeling most of the people on here, this is a path that they've been on, and continue to unwind where we are subconsciously holding these patterns, where we've internalized them, especially the unworthiness piece, where we've internalized that because of our culture, because of the collective, because, for all those reasons. And then, of course, it was mirrored in our childhood because most of us were raised with parents that couldn't be present, couldn't hear the full extension of our fears and shame and heavier emotions because they could not, they had not resolved that within themselves. So, yes, our childhood too, but it's not just our childhood. Right? It's this whole collective, you can call it karmic, you can call it many, many things. So this is what it looks like personally, right? So some of these patterns playing within us. And it all comes down, if we had to really, really make it really simple, it's about us not feeling safe. Not feeling safe in our body as women because of our gender. All those stats that I was reading earlier, all of those are because of their gender. That's why it's called femicide. It's because, yes, they've been abused, but because of their gender. It's not just random abuse or random, death. It's because you are a woman, and so therefore the society, the culture, the beliefs that are underlying all of the culture that we're in. Some countries are, of course, more acute and more intense and more horrific still. But we've all come from this, right? And yet, the good news is that we, especially everybody on this call, we have the ability to actually liberate ourselves. And it's not a linear path. It's not like I do this today and tomorrow, that's shifted. Yes and no, and sometimes we do the work and we do the work and we do the work and then all of a sudden something, like our whole lives change, so it's a circular path, and we can do what we can do, and then we have to surrender the rest, right? It's this path of the feminine, of surrendering. So I'm going to take a little bit of, we're going to do a little bit of a break here, what I call a break, which is really a little bit of an embodied process to just kind of check in with the hearts. And I'm going to so I weave in a lot of astrology. So I'm going to do the rhythm that is for Pluto moving into Aquarius, which was started yesterday. And Pluto in Aquarius is like the liberator. It's empowering us, Pluto, to liberate ourselves, Aquarius, right? And it's a very big astrological event, and it's affecting all of us, whether we know how or not. And so there's a way in which you can do the combination of like the astrology with the I Ching, and look at what the rhythm is, what the I Ching for the particular astrology is, and actually drum that beat, right? So I'm going to drum that beat. And if I invite all of you, you're all on mute, so nobody can hear you, you're in your safe space. I invite you all to bring your hands, your right hand to your heart, and your left hand to your womb, to your sacral space, sacral lower abdomen. And then tuning into whatever is moving for you here. You know, whatever you're feeling, thinking, sensation-wise, whatever's going on. And I invite you to do the ooh sound as I drum this rhythm for us. Ooh. And so when we do sound, it's just organic, right? There's no right or wrong. There's no effort. It's just, we're just going to use the ooh. You can go do another vowel if you want, if that comes through. But to keep it simple, we're just going to do the ooh sound, which connects and correlates with our womb space. And just letting the sound kind of carry whatever it is that you're feeling in this moment. All right. And I'll do a little bit with you, but I want to not kind of interrupt your own sounding. All right, here we go. I need everybody muted. I mean, yeah, everybody muted. Let's see who's not muted. Okay. I think I got everybody muted. Sorry. Beautiful. Okay. And so we're going to take a little pause here. And just feeling into your heart, feeling into your womb. And just noticing. Noticing what you're feeling. Noticing what shifted, if anything. Noticing your thoughts, your sensations in your body, your heart space, your sacral womb space. So I want to reiterate, first of all, I want to go back. I'm not going to spend too much time in this, but I just want to say that, lack of safety was my story. My story, that has been what has motivated me to do this work, from very early on, to really find, something that could liberate me from the pain, from the suffering that I saw, the women in my family go through, the misery, the fear, the anxiety that they were in, like 24/7, the lack of safety. And so finding that safety has kind of been my journey. And that's what gave birth to the conscious feminine medicine and the feminine path. And I'll talk more about that at another time. I want to, give us time for where we want to go next. So this problem that we all have gets a little confusing, because as we dive into, spiritual practices, or even, psychological practices, which is my background, and I was raised with, all sorts of esoteric practices and, metaphysical knowledge. I was very kind of lucky that way, that my mom was she was very progressive in that way. She was kind of ahead of, the norm. However, it's very tricky because we're still kind of swimming in this patriarchal field, and it's really important to acknowledge this field of separation and the culture of separation that we're in, which is really giving us a sign every like 24/7 of what success is, what happiness is, what the values that are in this culture are really not the values that are really truly meaningful if we want to liberate ourselves from this. And so it's really about going within and about connecting and about truly starting or continuing to connect with the wisdom and come into our sovereignty, right? So what does that mean? The sovereignty is to recognize that within us we have the ability, which we might call, the soul or our essence. We have the ability to connect with the intelligence of the universe, our divine self, our soul self. And in that union is how we liberate ourselves, right? So it's like shifting around. It's how we liberate all of these beliefs that we may be carrying of unworthiness, of codependency, and literally liberating ourselves from all of that internalized patterns and mindset that, are haunting us collectively and personally. And so the first step is to realize that the medicine is within us, that we are the medicine, that we carry the medicine. And that's how we move from survival to sovereignty. And that's how we liberate our voice, right? And accessing the voice through consciousness, through our consciousness, and connecting with our divinity, with our soul, because in our soul is where all of these qualities are that we're trying to seek outside of ourselves. That's where the safety is. That's where the peace, that's where they all emanate from. The peace, the joy, the safety, that's really our power. And as women, in many ways, we were actually, like, before 5,000 years ago, like, we've been able to document at least up to 28,000 years ago, we lived in the feminine lunar cycle and feminine lunar era, which meant that the women were revered as that connection between the divine realms and the physical realms. And women were really that space holder and carried that power and lived between, the in-between realms of life and death, and giving birth and holding space and receiving the divinatory messages and being the medicine woman, and playing and using the drum as those instruments to connect her to that source within her, our soul, our light, and using drum and using voice and using movement and dance and embodied processes. And this was the norm for thousands and thousands of years. But we've forgotten, and it's literally been forgotten on purpose, right? So as the patriarchal cultures came in, a lot of the knowledge, a lot of the temples, a lot of what was known practices were all buried, were all demonized, were all made wrong. And along with the making the feminine wrong, the whole consciousness, we separated and then made women wrong, because women carry, we both carry, men and women both carry the feminine as well as the masculine, but women carry that ability to commune with the feminine because it's part of our DNA. It's also part of our hormones. Actually our hormones are all synced up that way, our estrogen. And so it's all part of our physical embodiment, right? There's no separation. And so it's been hidden, right? And it's hidden within us. But we're at that time, and now's the time that we are coming out of that. And this is the revolution, this is the next evolution in our consciousness and the world's consciousness. It's not just to liberate women, but to bring back that mother essence, that yin essence, that nurturing, that love, that compassion for ourselves, for the world, right? There's no separation. We are the world. Our physical body is part of the earth, and so the medicine, all that to say that you are the medicine, you carry the medicine. It's like going beneath the thoughts, the beliefs, and tapping into and accessing our soul and the greater wisdom, the greater intelligence beyond our mind that we feel with our body, right? That we feel with this body here. This is how we can connect to our essence, to our spirit, and to that whole matrix of wisdom. So we're going to go into a process now. And before we do that, I want to really imprint. I'm going to read this poem, and I'm going to imprint that, and then we're going to go into a process. So I really invite you all. For sure, we're gonna definitely be later than this 90-minute. It's probably more like a 120. So if you can stay, if not, you'll have the recording. So I want to start with this poem that I had written to really bring through the imprint of what it feels like to feel that, to awaken to the feminine within us, and to our power, and to our safety, and do that with sound. We're going to be doing that after with sound. So So just again, if you can want to close your eyes and just listen to this while I bring these words to you. I am a woman, a sister to many, a mother to all. I have been revered in the past as a well of wisdom, a bridge between worlds of birth and death. I live there. I am a friend to the moon and a lover of the cosmos. I am birthed in the image of the great primordial mother, birther of creation. The time of the feminine lunar era is upon us. Again, the revival from its 5,000 years of darkness. I am a woman, and yet in this darkness we have been told we are filthy, too sexual, too sensual, too problematic, forced to carry the sin of humanity, eating the apple after all, causing the damnation of us all. I am a woman. Yes, society has not deemed me equal, yet I see another world, one in which there are no wars, no women is left to carry the burden, a world where little girls are celebrated rather than discarded, a world where women are cherished as holy, as sacred, rather than abused, neglected, oppressed. I am a woman. My world is full of kindness, love, and community for all. No isolation, no competition between me and you. There is plenty. I do not have to be afraid or feel ashamed, for no one is blaming me or judging me. My body is safe from harm. I walk safely amongst my sisters. And my brothers respect me, knowing there is no provoking dogma that persecutes me. I am encouraged, supported, and valued. As an essential being of creation. No more, no less than you. I am a woman. I stand on the shoulders of those that battled before me. My heart breaks with the pain they have endured, for they have lived in that other world of patriarchy, persecution, and misogyny. The world where women have no voice, where their very bodies are objects of exploitation. For every woman has a right to be safe in her body, to express freely, to live at peace in her world. And to the hundreds of thousands that have already died at your hands or through the mobs, yet you have emboldened, being called witches or demons or evil ones. Do you realize all of humanity has been birthed through a woman? I am a woman. We have lived at your mercy, begging for salvation, yet this has been no living at all. I am a woman, a bridge from past to future, living in the present, breaking down the worlds within me and within you. No longer room for their existence. We are the new generation of women reclaiming a place that has been forgotten, a secret that has been hidden, a sacredness that has been malevolently obscured. Speaking here for all before me. I am a woman. Healing, holy yet radical, mystical yet ordinary, vulnerable yet fierce. Magical yet mundane, sacred yet resilient, ecstatic, yet sensitive, wild, yet peaceful, passionate, worthy, unapologetic. Blessed be. And so just let yourselves really feel your hearts in this moment. Letting yourself just envision that light that you carry within, and your truth. Just letting the sound come through for you. Whatever sound that is. You can do the ooh, ah, ee, even the M, you can hum. And letting each exhale sound through and be the voice for your heart and for your soul. That part of you that wants to be liberated. I called you here today. That's ready to heal. To step into the new truth of yourself. If there's any tears, let them come through and wash away everything you've been holding in your heart. The pain, the suffering. And let your song come through. Even if it's just a hum, sound. Don't be afraid to use your voice. safe here. You're safe here. Remembering that you're the medicine. It's in your soul. It's your light. So just taking a deep breath, just feeling into your heart. Sometimes our heart breaks open, and as Rumi says, that's where the light comes in. That's where the light comes in. And the light that comes in through sound, through frequencies. Sound, the drum, allows us to receive different frequencies that break through the mindset that's unconscious or conscious. And that light that comes in as frequencies, as vibrations that we're listening, that we're feeling, that we're saying yes to, activates the light of our soul, activates the light of our being, activates what we call our truth, our essence. And so it's not just about receiving it from the outer, but we receive it so that we can break through and so that we can expand. And we heal in different ways. We either go in through the wound or through the light, the soul. And the expansion of the soul alchemizes, dissolves the denser frequencies and mindset. And if we go in through the wound, then that also dissolves. So there's different ways, and that's something that we'll be covering, and different ways of going in and accessing our light, our truth, our essence, our jewel. So just feeling here and just noticing what your divine intelligence, what your wisdom is wanting you to know in this moment through that process, what you were able to access, what shifted. And not from a knowing here in the mind, but a listening with our body, listening with our soul. And maybe if you have a little journal, you can journal a couple of thoughts, epiphanies, and this is the medicine, right? The medicine, we tap into it, it opens up, we start getting the downloads, the epiphanies, we start remembering the truth. It's already here, it's already within us. It's just been a little covered up for years, thousands of years. So as you're writing down your epiphanies and kind of just feeling, kind of coming back from that place, there's so many things I want to say, but I'm very aware of the time. I did want to say that the drumming in the ancient cultures was also known as, it's a circular, it's also known as the womb, and it's also known as a portal between the worlds. So, and it was used in divinatory practices to access our divine field, dimension. And there's a ton of studies. It's written in, where you signed up on the Eventbrite. I wrote all the studies, not all, but a lot of the studies of how the drumming and how the sound, not just the drumming, but the sound of our voice as well, is healing physically, how it shifts, its vibration and frequency, and how it shifts. We're like 70% water. So how it can heal physically, emotionally, especially emotionally. And it's been used for different practices. Our nervous systems can regulate. It helps us with our, to heal trauma, which is what we're doing, by the way. We're healing trauma, physical, personal, and collective. They're not separate. It can reduce anxiety and depression, reduces stress. It actually increases endorphins, feel-good chemical in our brain. It boosts our immune system, induces a renewed sense of focus and clarity, improves intuition, relaxation. It helps to dissolve chronic pain. That's fascinating. Anyway, there's a list and it's all there. I'm not going to take your time, but it's very powerful. These are very, very powerful tools. And of course, your voice. This is what we'll be doing if you feel like this really, is the medicine for you and you'd like to start working with this medicine. This is what we'll be doing in the next 5 weeks. If it's something that calls to your heart, we're going to be doing voice sounds, working with the chakras, working with the 7 chakras, activating our voice, and learning the different ways that we can do that, right? So we're going to learn what I call prescriptions that have been used for thousands of years. However, the goal in my book, and the highest, is for you to feel comfortable enough and safe enough to allow yourself to organically sound, just like I did. Not a script, not a, just organically sound and connect with your song, the medicine for you at any given moment. At any given moment, you know that intelligence within you knows exactly what you need to hear, to feel. It's like a frequency that comes from you. And at any given moment, that is available as your medicine. And there's different ways to access it. We can access it as from the place of the wound. We can access it as the fear, as the shame, coming through. We can access it as the soul. We can access it as inviting it to bridge what we want to call in for ourselves. there's many different ways, and so we're going to, work with and explore those different ways of sounding and the alchemy, because it's a transformational process, right? There's alchemy in it. That's where the magic happens. We're going to also connect with the 5 elements of the 5 different strokes to use the drum. So I know the camera is very close, and I can go over drums afterwards, but the doom is the water. This is the taka, is the fire. This is the air. This is the earth. Or we just hold it. So there's basic, and again, this is not about performing. This is about just having some skill, some options that you can make different sounds, and then you're just unleashing your intelligence, your wisdom, and organically. It's really about doing this intuitively, right? This is an intuitive feminine process. However, we need some structure, right? We need some structure to kind of feel our way through. We're gonna do this for 5 weeks, and expanding our connection with our soul, which again is the intuitive, working within that realm of what we call in the feminine path the gnosis, right? The deep knowing from within, not from your mind, but from within, which is called gnosis. And that's going to be a 5 weeks, Fridays at 7:30. And then, so for everyone that's here that actually made it today, I'm going to actually be offering like a little special magic, and I'm going to be doing the astrological moon rhythms for each person according to their birth chart, to the time that they're born, the date that they're born, where they're born. So their particular astrological placement of their moon gives us our moon rhythm, and that we can work with that rhythm to align ourselves, right? So this is another part of the medicine that you can work with, and there's there's a way in which to calculate this, which I'm not going to go into. It's a little complicated, but it's basically using the astrological data and the I Ching and combining that. And so if you choose to go into the 5-week program, just email me the information. You'll have an email about it. So what I need from you so that I can send you that rhythm. And then in the class, we're going to be doing some general rhythms astrologically, because I feel like that's really important to also learn and play with. But for the people that are here, we'll have that extra, fun tidbit to work with, your own moon rhythm. And I think that's pretty much it. I want to open it. I want to open up now. I'm going to actually end the recording, and I'm going to open it up for question and answers and any other. I'd like to, if anybody wants to, I can stay a few more minutes and share about the drum. You don't have to have a drum, but of course, if you have a drum, it's really powerful. Because even just working with your voice is going to open up and transform you in ways that are radically liberating. But I can go over like the 3 basic types of frame drums and just share those with you briefly if everybody wants to. So I'm just going to close the recording. I want to thank you very much for joining us. Peace and blessings.